For those of you who don't know me, my name is Rick Brimacombe. I'm the founder of Club Eve, been doing these for 10 years. My firm provides advisory services to entrepreneurs like you, help you folks refine strategies, assemble resources, and secure financing. Helped a client get some money yesterday, and from here I'm driving to another one. So like my friend Terry over here, we're always knocking on doors and trying to help folks move their businesses forward. As I mentioned, we're going to be hearing from a couple of sponsors later, so why don't I start with Dave Black. Schwegman Lumber Woosner's been a sponsor of Club E since 2007, actually my very first sponsor. And Dave, why don't you do a little commercial for SLW?
Thank you, Rick. Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the program today. I'm thrilled to be here, and I think you're in for a great meal, and it sounds like a great presentation. We help out with folks with regard to their intellectual property. I'm an attorney, a patent attorney specifically, and the law firm is located just across the intersection in the old TCF Tower. And we have a pretty diverse practice helping corporations and businesses as well as individuals protect their intellectual property. Probably about 140 or so attorneys, all focused on IP. And so we help with regard to analyzing portfolios, building portfolios, thinking about acquisition, and also thinking about enforcement of intellectual property. So if you have any of those sorts of questions, I'd be happy to chat with you a little bit further after the program.
Thank you. Thanks, Dave. And Dave, a couple years ago, did a presentation on how houses are like patents. And anyway, if you want a very easy way to get your arms around intellectual property, I'm sure he'd be happy to show you that. Mike, come on over. Okay, come on over. So Olson Thielen has been a sponsor since 2009. Mike and I interact a lot with a number of different projects I'm working on. And Mike, tell us a little bit about Olson Thielen.
Again, my name is Mike Brummelkamp. I'm a partner with Olson Thielen, and I was needed to promise that I would keep this short. All of my friends that already know me, including my buddy here, are all laughing because they know I can't do that. My partner in the back, Scott Hoyles. Scott, if you'd stand up. Scott and I work in the business valuation area. We help entrepreneurs maximize the value of their businesses, and that is the goal of our firm as a whole. What I would say, that other than that commercial, driving revenue with social media, I can tell you that social media is my #1 lead generation source, other than personal relationships that I have developed with people over many years. So I hope you pay great attention to the speaker today, and I'm sure you'll take some nuggets home that are going to help you in your business.
Thank you, Mike. And then Peggy Demuse from Sunbelt has been working with Club Entrepreneur for about a year or so, and I have clients that Peggy is working with and doing a nice job with them. So Peggy, tell us a little bit about Sunbelt.
Welcome. Sunbelt is a business brokerage. What we really do is focus on helping sellers when it comes time to sell their business. We will help with coming up with the value, which Mike will also do, but what we really drive is buyers. We had a business that we launched last week that we've already had 55 inquiries on, so it's really an active market right now. We also had a consulting business which we didn't even launch to the public and had 4 offers within a week. So the buyer market is really strong. If anyone is thinking at all about selling in the next couple years, it's a good time to really take a closer look at what your current value might be, and then also if now's the right time or some things that you can do to help maximize that value when the time comes. And we have a team of 50 people in the Twin Cities area. So we've got analysts, marketing folks, and a number of brokers. So certainly would welcome a conversation with anyone.
Thank you, Peggy. And Greg Freeman of Executive Suites of Minnesota is our last sponsor to talk to us today. And Greg and his father, Wayne, own four locations of Executive Suites. And if you're thinking about officing in Minneapolis, the best address to have is IDS, and that's, oh, by the way, where their suites are. So Greg, tell us a little bit about what you have going on for your summer specials.
Thanks, Rick. My name is Greg Freeman. I'm one of the owners, along with my father, Wayne, and my mom, Sandy, of Executive Suites of Minnesota. There's a card at your table that has pictures of our 4 locations at the IDS, the West End area, St. Louis Park, Edina, and Woodbury and Tamarack Hills, and also has 3 specials. Anyone at Club E who offices at home or who wants to extend the reach of their business, you have 3 hours use of our conference rooms and day offices at no charge. And also there is a summer office special if anyone has children at home or wants to look at a different officing option for the summer. We've got rates just for the summer offices, and then also for a new 1-year lease, there is a 13-month special with 1 month free. Our email address and phone number and website are all on the card. So if you have any questions, either see me afterwards or contact us through one of the ways below. Thanks.
Great. Thank you very much. Thank you. All right. So staying connected with the group, on the table in front of you all are these little cards. clube.com points you towards the website, find out future events, get connected. We have 2,400 people in LinkedIn now. Meetup group has like 1,500 people, so there's a couple of different ways to get connected with folks through Club E. There's also an email list you can sign up for from the website. And then the other little card there is Work Out Loud. We've instituted a communication platform for connecting up with folks both before and during and after the events, Work Out Loud. And then lastly, Minneapolis Club membership. If anybody's interested in learning more about the Minneapolis Club, see me. And then future events, we have Hudson next week, May 9th. We have Club E St. Paul, May 17th. Chum's in the back with red. Wave to Chum. Anybody's interested in going to St. Paul, see her. And then May 24th, I'm doing an event with Upsize Magazine, Family Business Guide, and Sunbelt's one of the sponsors on that. That's May 24th. And then next month for June, it's about crisis management and communications. And seems like every day you pick up the newspaper, some company's gotten into hot water. And we're going to hear from a domain expert on that at the June Club E. So that leads us to Darren Lynch and Irish Titan. Come on up, Darren. Darren has been a sponsor of Club E for several years. And Darren and I have been friends and done work together for maybe 10 years or so. And given Darren's background in technology, I'm going to have him introduce our speaker. Darren.
Thanks, Rick. Thanks to the other sponsors. This is a great community. We've built, Irish Titan, we've built a lot of deep relationships with people here, and I personally am proud to call both Rick and Mike not just peers but friends, so thank you for that. Irish Titan, many of you in the room have the misfortune of knowing me and or have heard about Irish Titan, but we are a digital agency. We specialize in e-commerce, complex websites, digital strategy, and digital marketing. We have 41 Titans, including 2 who are here. Kim and Shane, will you guys stand up, actually? And Shane actually is from Ireland, grew up there, so it's like he's our mascot. And so he's not faking an accent, he can actually do it, which is great. As I mentioned, we're a digital agency, but what I really want people to remember is that we do all of our work with this philosophy of business first, online second. So just remember that about us and I'll be happy, okay? With that said, I'm going to introduce Tanya. McLeod & Company is a holistic marketing agency, and we have the fortune of working with them pretty deep into one project right now, a number of other projects that we're on the edges, and they are an absolute pleasure to work with, and I'm not being paid to say that. They have honestly really made this project go much more easily than many projects that we work on in the absence of some marketing prowess on the other side. So we're honored to work with them. Tanya is going to be a great speaker. I'm really fond of her. She's great. A little bit of background. I did learn one nugget today that I can't publicly share, but she's a bit of a gypsy. Never lived anywhere more than 2 years, right? I know she does a lot of yoga, and if I have this right, a sensory deprivation chamber, right? All right. So with that, let's turn it over to Tanya.
Am I good? Is this on? I don't mean to. Do I have that kind of okay? I'm good? Okay, terrific. All right, well, thank you very much, Darren. And Shane, you should meet Sandy. He's from Scotland. He's a McLeod, too. Terrific. Who here has heard of holistic marketing before this? Anybody? A few people. Okay, cool. Well, you guys don't count. Those are all the McLeod people back there. I thought that holistic marketing was this great dream, but as the song goes, I was definitely not the only one. So I would like to start this all out by just kind of telling you my story. I started out marketing in the early 90s, and my first client was Berkeley Systems flying toaster screensavers. Who remembers those? Right? You actually had to get out of your house, get in your car, go someplace, and pay somebody $24 for that product. That was your entire window that was the entire kind of sales process. And Berkeley Systems knew very well that all I have to do is manage this one little process. So we fast forward down now to later in the 90s, and we are actually having real life businesses coming on and doing business online. Like the first online backup and data storage was a super huge big deal. That was a business change completely. But still, because the internet was still this series of storefronts, you still managed this one little interaction. Because you knew that people were coming to learn. You controlled all of the data about your process, and people came to you to learn from that. And then something really, really important happened. I got in a fight with my boyfriend. I got in a fight with my boyfriend. I went to a travel agent. I bought a ticket to Europe, and I decided I was just going to go find myself for a month and figure it all out. I went back to the airport to catch my flight home, realized I hadn't learned how to tell time in that period, and I completely missed my flight and decided it was a sign from God, and I stayed. So I embraced the illegal alien lifestyle, I guess, and what do you do when you embrace that lifestyle? Anyone? You wash dishes. So I got a job washing dishes at a restaurant in The Hague in the Netherlands. And it was me and my colleague, who I had met at that moment was an Egyptian guy. The owner was Dutch. He gave us some instruction. You got to wash these pots and pans and plates and get them out fast. And then everybody, our customers in the kitchen, I don't know what they were, but they were just hostile. So me and my Egyptian buddy are washing dishes. We're cranking out, pots and pans as fast as we can, and they're screaming at us, "Bestek, bestek, bestek." And we're like, I don't know what to do, so we're doing faster, faster, faster. Bestek means silverware. So that was kind of like, okay, we're not having good communications here, we've got issues. Fast forward another year, and I find myself at the largest cable company in Europe, and they are launching a broadband ISP, and they're about to go public. So that was super, super exciting. So there's an American CEO, and he wants me to manage his communications team, to manage the communications for this IPO across all of his business units. So American CEO and me, we got it good. I go and meet my team. My team is 2 Dutch people, a Swiss German, a Greek Cypriot, and an Australian. Our customers, or the executive team that we need to lead, are mostly Indians and Asians, and we're talking to the British financial press. What could possibly go wrong? So that is kind of where am I in the way here? Let's see if I can pull this a little bit here. So that is kind of how it looked for us. We had the organization. This is what we have to deal with. We have the business strategy. And then we have what everybody wants us to do. So this marketing or communication strategy that we're supposed to do. So what is this going to look like? There's your execution. So my team quickly learned that we had to look at the organization. What are we capable of? What can actually be done realistically? What are the sensible strategies to apply to that? Not every business strategy needs to be applied to every single thing that we're doing. And how can we align all of those things together so that we are actually helping people do what needs to be done? What is your execution going to look like then? It's going to be streamlined and it's going to work. So this is holistic marketing. Holistic marketing, we define as bringing a product or service from inception to maximum ongoing profitability. You have to look, in this day and age, because you have so many entry points, you have to look at it like that. Holistic marketing combines 3 things: brand and product, company culture and human systems, or put another way, what's made, why it's made, and how it's made. So let's break that down. We've got our brand or our product. Oh, sorry about that. We've got our brand or a product. So your product, your detailed product or service or whatever it is that you're offering. So what is made. So we'll just use cupcakes as a simple example throughout this. And then you have the promise that you make to your customers, so that the expectation of experience. I'm going to give you a quick little anecdote. We had a company come to us that wanted to change their positioning. They wanted a whole new brand, and they wanted to change their positioning to be really helpful. And we said, oh, well, okay, that's a little weird. But so we called around to some of their customers and some of their people that they work with, and a quote that I heard more than half the time was, those guys are assholes. That's not gonna work. So we cannot make a helpful brand and when you're not helpful. So it was a construction company, luckily, so we carefully told them, hey, we don't think this is gonna work, but if everybody thinks you're assholes and you are a construction company, who do I want on my construction guy? I want the guy who's gonna get stuff done. I don't want some nice person. So let's reposition you guys as the ones for the tough jobs, and then you can get your culture going, that's your helpful thing, and then we could transition later. And they did that about 5 years ago, and we are indeed this year, for the first time, transitioning to partnerships. Okay, then company culture, where can that come from? Who has a mission statement? Who abides by that mission statement in any way, shape, or form? You're unusual. And I think that's wonderful, but a lot of companies don't have that. But if you do, I think that's wonderful. A company culture comes from that, and it comes from the behaviors within the company that are tolerated. And those exist whether you want them to or not. You probably didn't design them, and you're probably contributing to them on some level as well by what you tolerate or what you laugh at or anything. So there's why it's made. And then we look at the human systems. The human systems, kind of the systems, processes, and workarounds. Has anybody ever read this book, Peter Senge, The Fifth Discipline? It's an absolutely phenomenal book on systems thinking. And he gives an example in here that I will butcher a little bit, but if you think about a system, a closed system that's just you, and let's think about filling up a glass of water. So in a glass of water, you've got a bunch of different variables. You know that you have the desired level that you want the water to come to. You know how much you have the tap turned on. You know how the water is flowing out of there. You know the perceived, how fast the water is running, the level that it is right now, and then your perceived gap. So you're processing all of those things in your head, and all of those things are going in a circular way to tell you when to turn off the tap, pull the glass out, whatever it is. Imagine that you have different business units doing each of those things. Can you possibly communicate everything completely to close that whole system? It's difficult, and you need to understand that you are communicating something of that level. And then we get into our personal preferences. I don't know about the science behind this, but probably many of you have heard the story of the boiled frog. If you put a frog in cold water and slowly change the temperature, the frog will let itself cook. And that may or may not be true, but it's a good analogy. Let's just go with it. Well, we get a lot of that in our own businesses. You get Bob and Janice that just don't get along, that don't want to talk to each other. But you also get that in a solo situation. I personally hate doing invoice collections, and when I was a freelancer, guess what never got done? So again, brand and product, company culture, human systems, what, why, how. This is holistic marketing. It's this complete bringing together of all of these silos, because you think you're selling the what, and before you were selling the what, but not anymore. Your customers are buying this because now there is a complete and total view into your business with social media. And it might not be the truth, but it's the truth to somebody, so you better manage it. So holistic marketing looks at reality, warts and all, so cute, to create realistic strategies and actionable tactics that bring you to maximum ongoing profitability. That is fully what it's about. So realistic strategies. What is a strategy? The strategy is the what, the how, it's the plan. It's the high-level plan to achieve one or more goals under conditions of uncertainty. That's really, really important, because as you go out right now today for something completely new, you are experiencing conditions of uncertainty. As you continue to learn about that, your conditions of uncertainty can become de-risked, better managed as you get more information. Actionable tactics, what are those? That's the what, that's the means. So that's the conceptual action that's actually going to help us carry out this strategy. So what is missing here? Goals. We gotta have goals. We gotta know where we're going. We can't just decide we're gonna do it really well. We gotta have that end goal of where we're going. So goals provide a map, they provide metrics, they provide learnings, and they provide achievement. You cannot have a good strategy if you don't have a goal. And it's amazing to me how many customers and people that we work with that just, they resist a goal. They say, we want to go this or this or that. If you really have a concrete goal, it helps everyone align themselves. You've got to know where you're headed. If you don't, you're going to lose traction. You're going to fall apart. Even if it's a goal that you change, you have to have something. And who's heard of SMART goals? Yep, so I'll rattle through that. Specific, measurable, achievable, realistic, time-bound. I'm quite certain that they put this in here to achieve the acronym properly, but we get the picture. If anybody would like to know more about SMART goals, or we have a handy worksheet at our website, mcleodandco.com/club-e. We've got a couple of things for Club E people on there. So our goal in our cupcakes example might be to sell more cupcakes. That's not a SMART goal. A SMART goal is a 20% lift in sales by December 2017. Everyone knows, did we do it or didn't we? It's very clear, binary. So we have a clear picture of what we're dealing with. And now we can make realistic and executable. That's really, really an important part of holistic marketing. When we know that we can do it, our organization can do it, it's easier to execute, it's more likely to get done, and it's more likely to be embraced. And all of us who have worked with employees or colleagues or anything, we all know that if people don't want to do something, it's not going to get done. So now we can build some strategy. So we want a 20% lift in our cupcakes. Our strategies are how, it's the plan. So what customer targets can afford our cupcakes? It's amazing how many people don't figure that. That's an easy question. What customer targets find value in our cupcakes? And then how do we talk about our cupcakes in terms that they're going to resonate with? And then the tactics. We need to go to where those customers are. We need to connect with them when they're the most receptive. So what do we need? We need a holistic approach. So that's understanding our organization and knowing what tactics we execute well and consistently. So now let's talk about social media marketing. So social media marketing 1, 2, 3, we'll talk about this in detail, but we need to define our qualifications, build the story, and then define the customer journey. So the ideal qualifications, are they able to purchase? Do they want to purchase? What's their frame of mind, and what are competing options? Quick word on competing options. You're also competing with doing nothing. That's really, really important. You're not just competing against other cupcakes. You're competing against a glass of water. And then build a persona of that target. This is a really, really helpful thing, and you find them all over the place, personas, but it's really helpful to get yourself into the head of your target. Do they have a dog? Do they have kids? Are they tired? Are they, what's going on with them? And that is going to help you a lot be able to sell to them more effectively. And we have a worksheet for that if anybody is interested, /club-e. And then to define that customer journey or that sales process. So what phases do they go through? What opportunities do you have to hit them at those phases? It's really worth identifying that and figuring that out for yourself, and what content you can provide. So we have a tool for this, a framework for this. At the bottom is the different points of the sales cycle, and then on the right side is the complexity of the message continues to become more complex as the prospect moves through the sales cycle. So you get something as simple as awareness. If I'm selling dog food and you have a cat, we're not talking to each other. That's totally fine. I'm not concerned with, let's not waste anybody's time, anybody's breath. And then we might go to desire, which a lot of this broadly works for everything from toothpaste to Learjets, but you might also have disbelief in this section or something of that nature. And your message is getting slightly more complex. Research, purchase. So also like to point out that in those first 3 things, when they got to research, they don't need you yet. You don't even know they exist yet, potentially. So this is you're ignoring this if you're not on social media. Use, and then potentially advocacy or repeat purchase. And this is really when you have achieved mindshare. This is what we call in our organization the communications wedge, because if I'm to get this into your head, I have to have a thin end. And we've got a free worksheet for that if you want to, club-e.com. So now let's get into more of the nitty-gritty of what the social media actually is. So we've got our content types. So that is also, blogs, videos, that type of thing. But it's also written, visual, and jab, right hook. We'll talk about this book in a moment too, but this is another terrific social media book. It's got lots and lots of pictures, so for people like me, it's terrific. And then we have our platforms. So yeah, the usual suspects, Facebook, Instagram, all that. Don't forget that your website, your SEO, and how you interact with other websites are also a key part of your social media program. You wrote a blog and it got published on another site. that's you. That is your social media, and you're going to get good SEO juice and all sorts of complex stuff that people like Darren can tell you about. And then your resources to execute. This is where the holistic marketing part really, really comes in. If you're really crap or you really hate doing something, your organization just isn't right for that, take it off the list. Don't make it hard. Don't make it difficult. Do what works for you. So there's a couple foundational strategies. There are 3 basic platforms or ways to drive revenue with social media. These are all encompassing. The first one, native content, you have to have the first one in order to have the second one in order to have the third one. So what's native content? You're going to hear that a lot used in different ways. Essentially, native content is the content that is appropriate to that particular platform. You don't put a blog on Instagram. It's just not the right thing. And again, this book I highly recommend. He goes through, he talks about various things, but he also goes through and evaluates existing social media posts. And he just picks them apart for why they're great, why they're horrible. And I would highly, highly, highly recommend this book to anybody who's getting into social media. But he talks about jabs and right hooks. But remember, I feel that a lot of people forget on social media. And when I put this presentation through to my designer, he corrected it. He says, be a good guest. And he said, be a good host. No, you are a guest in other people's feeds. They are not coming to look at your whole Facebook page. You are a guest in their feed, and they are looking at this when they are waiting in line at the bank, waiting for their kids, sitting on the phone, whatever. You need to have that in mind and understand that what you're offering up. And you need to give more than you get, because by allowing you to be in their feed, you need to give them something to maintain that privilege, if you will. And then there's paid media. So as you're doing really, really good content, on top of that, you can do paid media. This part is where it changes a whole lot really, really quickly. Today, and I mean today, this is broadly what we would tell you if you're doing something in B2B right now. We wouldn't really tell you to do any advertising on Twitter because they don't really have their strategy worked out. It's kind of expensive. The targeting isn't awesome. That could change next week. Today, it's not that great. You take to Instagram. Again, I don't feel that there's some brands that might be appropriate to advertise, but if you have a blanket statement, I'd say probably not. Facebook and LinkedIn, super, super targeted. Absolutely, yes, spend your money there. LinkedIn, in fact, in the last 2 weeks has come out with some really, really good targeting stuff so that it's expensive but very, very worth it. And then marketing automation is the pinnacle of that pyramid. Marketing automation is things like HubSpot, Marketo, that type of stuff, and it just knits together your entire digital strategy. And so it would take that and more and really allows you to execute your business strategy across a whole lot of things. That's a pretty expensive prospect to get those tools and to get a team working on that. That's not something you would do yourself unless you have no other job and you don't really like yourself very much. But that's a huge undertaking, but it's great. So again, those same approaches. Native content, what are you getting with that? You're getting audience engagement, boosting and advertising, you're learning about that audience, and then you're executing your strategy. So here's where the jabs and the right hooks come in. So for instance, you're selling your cupcakes, and your first jab, which is just gonna be, I'm happy to be in your feed, and I'm glad to be here. I'm just gonna put a photo of a customer in a favorable light eating my cupcake, and isn't my cupcake lovely? And that's great. And you don't mind seeing that picture of the cupcake in your feed because you like cupcakes, that's why you follow me. Then I'm going to do a shout out to a customer. I'm going to say, hey, congratulations to the Boys and Girls Club because they just had, they just brought everybody in to get cupcake treats, and they just did this great thing. And then everybody in the Boys and Girls Club is going to share this post because I've tagged somebody in it, and it's great, and I'm going to reach their whole big network, and everybody loves me. Then I have a right hook. That's when I say, hey, I've got an event that I would like for you guys to do something for me, and I've been a good guest. And I have kind of played along with you, and okay, so now somebody wants to see that from me or is willing to see that from me, and I have also expanded my network considerably because I have done this shout out to somebody that's local, and so they, I'm a trusted friend now. I'm more than a brand. When we get to boosting and advertising, and I'll burn through these pretty quick, we'll make the slides available to anybody who would like them. But like driving and boosting posts with Facebook ads, super targeted, super cheap, even if that's not necessarily where you think your audience is, it's worth dipping a toe because it's highly, highly, highly effective, and you might as well learn that it isn't. Even with B2B, we experience this. We have a client that does a lot of ingredient selling to food scientists and the like. And they said, Facebook is not going to work for us. And we said, well, it's cheap, let us try. So LinkedIn was performing really, really well. We did the same or a similar thing on Facebook, and they said, see, look at all these emails that we're getting. They're all Gmail addresses. And we said, okay, well, yeah, let us keep going. And then we triangulated. On LinkedIn, the same people are using their business addresses, and the same people are using their personal addresses, and we are hitting them with business content on LinkedIn during the week, and on the weekends, when they're on the couch doing this, we're hitting them with completely different content about nutrition and things like menu planning and that type of stuff. So it is a completely dual strategy, and we are finding, we've been doing this for about 15 months for them, and we are finding that they are getting more value because of the layering of those two things. So don't write things off just because. Don't write things off till you try. LinkedIn, again, ads, recruiting, regular ads. These work really, really well. Your cost per click could be as high as $10, but it's going to be a terrific targeting. And then again with LinkedIn, whatever. And then bringing it up one more level to marketing automation. You know, the best kind of way to demonstrate this is to just say, this is what this ends up looking at like. Everything is so much stronger because it's all interwoven, and the metrics that you get with that are insane in a good way. So let's just connect the dots here. So I would encourage everybody to view your social media strategy as a tool. It can help you build an audience, extremely, extremely important. So you're talking your Facebook, your LinkedIn, your Twitters, and that type of thing. It can help you learn about that audience. So you're going to be learning about demographics, engagement. You have an opportunity for direct inquiry. You have an opportunity to be listening in to conversations that are happening about your product. We were just talking to somebody about hashtags. That a lot of people don't know what hashtags are. Basically, when you put a hashtag in a post, something like that, it just categorizes it. So if somebody Googles hashtag Club E, you can see everything that anybody has ever tag Club E on. So those are the types of things that you can use subtle tools to expand your reach and expand what you want to learn. But having those goals and knowing what you want to learn is what's going to help. It's really helpful for disseminating information. We're going to disseminate information to our entire audience, but I also noticed that somebody over here has been to our page on how to assemble the whoosy-whatsy here about 9 times. I can also subtly say, yeah, I'm going to help this person kind of find this information because I can see what they're doing because I have that kind of a window on my stuff. And then also to lead your prospects through the online sales process. When you've identified what that process is, you're helping people to kind of, you can put out a breadcrumb trail on most of your content to help them go from this one to that one to that one to that one. And through that, you're also going to be learning which contents and which content types and which messages perform the best. And marketing automation is great for that. And then it's also going to constantly refine your messaging for better results. Every time you go out on a sales call, people who do that, you know that, okay, this didn't work, that didn't work. A social media program is going to help you refine that in double, triple, quadruple time because you can watch what's happening online and you can try it out like that. And that is marketing with social media. Does anybody have any questions? Or? Yes?
Yeah, what does when you report this with your clients, what do you recommend for like the top 3 components on a dashboard, the cadence at which you reveal with clients? Could you talk about that for a minute?
Sure. We use everything metrics based on the SMART goals. So when we do not have any 2 clients that have the same metrics or that we report on the same metrics for them. Things like cost per click versus impressions versus website hits. Those are so cost per click is how much you're going to pay when somebody clicks on your ad. Website hits is how many people actually made it then to your website from that ad or someplace else. And impressions is like you can put out an ad on Facebook for $100 and you can get 100,000 impressions. It doesn't mean anybody clicked on it. It means it went in their feed. So it's really about who the client is, what the client's level of understanding is. And a lot of clients they don't want to know how the sausage is made. They want sales.
Do you have an off-the-shelf dashboard program that you use? There's like 3 dozen out there. Just
Yeah.
Is there something you recommend? What's that?
No, but we're building one.
Oh, is it for rent?
So I'll let you know.
Can you talk a little bit about, this is new to me, the Facebook Pixel?
Yes, a Facebook Pixel is, very, very simply put, it's something that you would put on your website or on a piece of content so that Facebook can then track it, can then report back at you and say that you're
Similar to Google Analytics, in a way that it's just pulled.
same concept.
So you said not to advertise on Twitter. I'm not a tweeter. How are you supposed to use that to help generate business?
Twitter specifically? I like Twitter really, really a lot for trade shows and events. And that is where hashtags come in really, really well. Usually people who are big tweeters, we'll call them that, people who are big tweeters know how to use hashtags, and they'll have their app out on their phone during an event all the time, and they are looking for that hashtag because Twitter will let you do that. If you use a hashtag in an event, who cares? First of all, you're going to get a whole lot of followers really, really quickly, and you're going to be privy to a conversation that is going on, and that is really helpful for you to know. Either you can jump in on the conversation, or you can just know what people are talking about, and it's basically the best eavesdropping tool in a conference that you would hope for.
Does McLeod manage the whole process, or the contract it out? What's the ballpark?
Sure. Actually, McLeod, we thank you for the opportunity, sir. McLeod, we do holistic marketing, and our goal with all of our clients is to get them onto what we call outsource your marketing, so that it's a retainer situation, so that we understand your goals implicitly and inside out. We're meeting every other week to talk about your goals, and then we are working within a bucket of kind of funds or energy or whatever, however you want to describe it, and we just take care of it. So we've got, I think, raise your hands back there, guys. That's many of us, and yeah, we just are constantly on it for the goals. So we will do project work, but we prefer to help you achieve your goals and bring you from to maximum ongoing profitability.
Your example for B2B was really clear between how you differentiate between Facebook and LinkedIn posts. Can you use the same type of comparison for a website blog versus posting on LinkedIn? Do you post the same, or do you have different strategies between those two?
Two things come to mind instantly about that. First of all, you've heard of, Google does a lot of search for plagiarism. So if you have two pieces of content that are exactly the same, you're going to get dinged. So I would, first of all, just change it a little. About 20%. And then, so posting on your own blog is going to get you, depending on your own blog traffic, is going to get you whatever you get from that. Posting on LinkedIn, particularly if you can buzz it with some editors, which is a cheating thing that you can do, but you could get to be friends with bloggers and you do some back scratching, then you can get the attention of some of the LinkedIn editors, and you're going to potentially go into the stratosphere. Employing that strategy about 2 years ago, when I totally focused on it myself for about 2 or 3 months. My first blog post on LinkedIn, I got 220 hits. My biggest, I got 30,000, which was pretty cool, but you have to game it and you have to pay attention. Yes?
Can you quantify that for us, put it into how it changes the sales revenue? I mean, you've got more hits and so forth, but what has been your experience with actually in a dollar sense, how that can change, having an online social media presence?
The short answer to that, which is not quantifiable, is it widens your funnel, and it does, and you have to believe that, I guess, to some degree. When you get into actually quantifying it, that's when you need to be using tools that kind of knit it all together, and marketing automation is a great tool for that, because it does say, this person came to you from this Facebook ad, they filled in this form, we got this data on them, and when that happens, then we can follow them around a little bit more and collect that. If we don't do marketing automation, then you kind of have to eyeball it and know, yourself, because you're managing yourself, or your team is, and they need to be able to say, this person came in from here and this happened from here. And so I guess it's more of a manual process. To quantify what that actually means, I think, is really, really difficult. But aside from if you don't have marketing automation, in which case you can absolutely quantify it. But to quantify it for someone doing a personal program, it's going to be harder, and I would probably just say give it 6 months and look at before and after, or you need to really focus on it and double down on your digital tools, which is going to be an investment. Did that help?
Well, I'm wondering more in the sense of sales revenue. In other words, you have an existing company, you then bring on the social media aspect. What can you expect to see in sales revenue, revenue difference once you have social media?
Well, it depends on how well it's applied. So if it's an absolutely ace program for, well, and I'll use our grain company client as an example. They've been doing marketing automation with us for close to 2 years, maybe 15 months, something like that. Their sales have gone up probably 15 or 20% in volume of sales. We are able to target margin customers, so their margins across the board, and now I'm taking that metric away, their margins across the board have gone up by about 12 to 15% because they're fishing in a different pool for that, and so that's a separate metric, so I'll put that one away. And then the amount of sales calls that they get has also increased by, I mean, depending on the month, we've had some where we're getting 30 calls more a month, and we've had some where we're getting 159 calls more per month. So it's something like that. So it depends on what the metric is that you want to measure. Is social media going to yield you an absolute, $500,000 lift in your sales? Can't tell you that. Yeah.
You spoke about the sales path, that moving from awareness to desire, et cetera. How can social help you identify your prospect sales path if you don't have a great deal of insight already into it?
The way that we do that is we guess the first time, and because you have to have a starting point. We guess, and then we go and try, and we personally go through that. So, okay, I'm aware that I am interested in cat food. What happens then? And so we just go through that. It's surprisingly similar across the board, but you do get some curveballs. We just brought on a med device company that are promising something that we know works, but it's kind of a big deal. In their sales process, we put disbelief in there, and we've got to help people cross this bump over into, I don't believe you. Did that? Yeah. Anyone else?
Just to follow up on the revenue question, our conversation earlier before you started, I think a lot of companies are kind of skeptical, right, about social media because it's very hard to make that direct correlation between we spend this much money, we have all these people, we bought software programs, we're doing the ads, and revenue, we have impact on sales.
Right.
So could you maybe talk a little bit about other intangibles and kind of your
we don't take on, or we really don't want to ever take on somebody who says, just do us a social media program. And when I hear that, it didn't help us, I bet you $1. It was, let's do a social media program. It's just not gonna work. Or if it works, you won't know why. So it really does need to be a thought out social media program. What are we trying to accomplish? It has to be tied to your business goals. This can't be a marketing goal. It has to be tied to a business goal, and it has to be truly part of your entire organization being executed well. And does that help it? I mean, our approach is, what are your goals? We do the sales process, the customer journey, and the delivery process, and then we start social media. We do not ever start with social media.
I was just going to add a comment here as a business advisor. There's one more goal that hasn't been discussed, and that's the defensive goal. If you decide to do nothing, hey, you guys doing anything? We got competition all over the place that's doing this. If you're not doing it, you're going to miss the boat. If you do it well, you can be a winner.
Yeah, absolutely.
But if you're not doing it, you are missing the boat completely.
And you may not even know it.
And you won't even know it until your margins are down 20% and your sales are down.
Yeah, thank you.
Tanya, do you know of a good, or can you say a good company that's doing this that like you'd give an A+ through your professional lens, that's really got to handle us, that after this we can all go out and check out their digital footprint? And
I can think of can think of examples that are all really narrow, and I think that is probably a big issue with social media, is like, who's doing it well? Well, they're doing it well for them, and like there's not. And if you're looking for a template, seriously, this is your best thing, and this has 50 templates in it, and they're going to work for you, help you understand too of how do I want to come across? What is my brand? And all of those things have to be worked out before you take on a social media program, or it's just you might as well get your nephew to do your Instagram for you.
Tanya, what do you think is the biggest mistake that businesses make when they start to engage in social media? Where do they screw it up? Do you think?
I see this a whole lot. They hire somebody to do social media, and the person says, "Okay, yeah, that's great," and just somebody who sits in an office someplace, and they say, "Happy Labor Day," and then they go, "Oh, we just had a softball tournament," and la la la. You're a guest. You're a guest in someone else's feed. They do not give a flying about your softball tournament. I'm sorry, but they don't. And that is probably the number one, is put yourself in the eyes and the place of your customer. Who's that persona that you're trying to reach? Think about it, and they probably don't care about your softball game. That. Yes?
Someone who's starting a business and you have limited resources, time, budget, et cetera, where would you put your focus in that strategy?
B2B, LinkedIn. Hands down, LinkedIn. Here's a LinkedIn hack for you. Get your LinkedIn profile looking as good as you can. Keywords, put in keywords. Keywords are needed. Sprinkle them in all over. 200. You want an intro page. You want everything on your LinkedIn filled out. Go and connect with people and blog on LinkedIn. Blog, put up content, tag people. And if you don't have much, if you only have, say, 5 or 10 minutes a day for a social media strategy and you're a solopreneur in B2B, publish a blog at least once a month. Go in for 5 minutes every single day and like other people's stuff. Just play around, just be there, be a presence, and you would be amazed at how quickly your cachet goes up.
What if you're CPG? Like
Because your packages?
Yeah.
Then you are going to, depending on what it is, but I would say Facebook is your place. I don't know if you're how old are the people you're targeting?
All ages. I mean, it's a grocery product.
A grocery product, I would definitely think LinkedIn Facebook sounds like a good spot for that.
What about Google Plus and Google locations?
You're adorable. I don't know. Yeah, no, we always like Google Plus. That means that you work at Google. Just when Google Plus finally took away the requirement to have a Google Plus page before they would stop dinging you. I don't mean to be facetious. We paid very little attention.
Because I have a lot of locations. Really for SEO, I'm everyone's local.
Oh, there you go. That's a different story. Yeah.
Do you know anything about what to publish there or not publish?
On Google Plus?
Yeah.
It's never ever going to hurt you, unless you don't have the bandwidth. That's the only, and that's where we are. Like, of all the resources we have, we're not putting them there. But if it's never going to hurt you.
I buffer. Does that work?
Oh, good. Yeah, local SEO is very important. Anyone else?
So just to jump in, we have the room as long as anyone wants to stay. I assume Tanya and our team will stay and answer anybody's questions. One thing, Teague, 11 by 11, is he in here? I wanted to talk to him about his business, so maybe he was shy and didn't want to raise his hand. But anyway, I wanted to talk to Teague, 11 by 11. And then just to close it up with everybody, Tanya, what's kind of the one takeaway that they can go home and think about and maybe do differently back in the office? What's the one nugget you want to send everybody home with?
I want to send everybody home with, you need to look at this at social media as part of your business strategy and what you can execute well, or your team can execute well. It's not a silo. It has to be an integral part of your entire situation. And if we can ever help, we are very, very glad to have a chat, take any phone calls. Would love to hear from anybody. Thank you very much.